Welcome to the NNJR Trackside Classroom Series. Today's topic is a bit different than many of our other classes. Today I'm going to share with you a series of tips, or perhaps better described as ideas, that you might want to try if you're an advanced driver at Watkins Glen. These have been taken from a whole host of sources, mainly pro drivers we've had do track walks at Watkins Glen or talk about how to drive Watkins Glen, as well as some from my own and other chief instructor experience. So the normal caveat applies here that you try these at your own risk. And again, these are advanced techniques. If you're a student driver, feel free to listen and watch, but if some of these don't make sense or different than what you've been taught, well, that's the whole point. These are ideas to try. Some of them won't work for you. I'm going to share a couple at least that I've tried and didn't work for me, but hey, maybe they'll work for you. But with that said, I'm going to share my screen and get the video up here so that it does not appear that that is sharing. That's odd. I have to see what's going on here. Okay, now I believe you can see the video. So we're going to start at turn one. So some of the comments that I'll share for turn one. Dave Scott recently on a track walk, said the objective is to, quote, keep the car on all four tires. By that, he meant avoiding too much trail brake so that the car can use the grip on all four tires. Finding a turn-in point is always hard. He indicated he turns in when he can see the red and yellow apex curb. Haven't tried that, so that one you can try. But he did say that that I have tried and it does work, is to do less trail brake for longer, almost to the apex, maybe even all the way to the apex, and to turn in just a bit more at the apex to adjust the car's heading. And done properly, that should allow us to get our foot on the floor sooner. So here I'll play through this particular corner, and we'll see if I did that very well or not. But the idea definitely works, and I have found that this trail longer but lighter actually allowed me to be more consistent in the corner and to more consistently get my foot on the floor earlier. So, feel free to try that yourself. But again, these are ideas, not guarantees. So for turn two, the recommendation is to turn in at the left side access road. And let me just get this so we can see it. There it is on the left, right there, right where the orange is. So, so that is much earlier than where the cone typically is, but we're turning in to the same apex. We're not changing the apex. So this more gentle turn in tends to, in my view, suck the car, pull the car right into the compression at the apex. And I've been driving that line since I learned it from David Murray years ago, and I've tried to promote it. It's a good line for most drivers. Something new from Dave Scott that, again, I tried and liked is he indicated to short shift to fifth gear in most cars before the apex of turn two, or maybe even at or before the turn in. So, and the idea here is that doing that doesn't give up very much during the S's and makes driving through the S's a lot less dramatic, since we don't have to do any shifting. And we have enough torque in most modern cars that we're not giving very much up, if anything, going to that taller gear. And and I've tried it, and it really does work, at least for me. Regardless of what gear you're in, you're probably going to have to give a brief lift after the apex of 2 in order to keep the car to the right to head up the hill. But that's pretty normal regardless. But after that, after you work up to it, hopefully we can keep our foot on the floor on 5th all the way across the top and so on. So here's what that looks like, from the turn in of 2 going to 5th gear now, and going into the apex and having to struggle to hold it there a bit. So turn 3, not a lot new here, except a couple of ways to think about it, perhaps. It's definitely a slow hands corner. Dave Scott likes to say maybe there's a brief neutral point. But either way, it's definitely slow hands, and we want to avoid an early turn in or too fast turn in. You're going to see when I play the video here in a second that in this lap I turn in both a touch early and too fast, and it's some bad habit I've developed, which I am really working hard to try to break. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on around the track to the carousel to turn 5, and pick up a few things that Dave Scott and others have mentioned about the carousel. Dave's tip was to follow the yellow line that's on the right here. About you can start to see the yellow line coming up just past where we are here, about just past this curb. There we go. He's talking about this yellow line here, that if you follow that tight line all the way down the hill, it's faster. I tried it, and I did not find that to be the case for me personally. I felt that it delayed me too long getting my foot on the floor exiting the corner. So my preference, which is what you're seeing here, is to exit the bus stop as quickly as possible, tap the brakes, and help the car turn, and pause just an instant to get the car headed on the right trajectory, headed down the hill. And for me, that allows me to get on the gas, get my foot on the floor, I should say, sooner. It may or may not help me get on the gas sooner, but it helps me get on the floor sooner. And so that's something you can try if you like. One thing I recommend everyone try, because as far as I've been able to tell, it works for pretty much everyone, is that the apex of turn 5 is really it begins at the flag station, but it really continues for 2, 3, 4 car lengths until about there, until we're well down the hill. And if you notice, the car kind of naturally leaves the apex curb at that point and heads straight across to the track out point, which is what we want. A mistake a lot of people make is to release from that apex curb too soon, and then of course you run the risk of running out of track. It's pretty easy, even with the foot on the floor, to hold on to that apex curb, until kind of the natural release point. So that's turn 5. Okay, turn 6, the laces coming up. Again, Dave Scott and others have recommended a tight line through through turn 6, and making sure to run some distance along the apex curb, because we all know there's a lot of banking down there that we want to take advantage of. Well, after some experimentation and seeing what others are doing here, I'll explain how I adjusted my line to try to take a tighter line through here. And your mileage may vary, so this is just what I have gotten to lately on the quote tight line theory. So I aim the car at left side of this flag station, this first flag station, as we're going down the hill. So that's my aim at point as I'm coming down the hill, and I begin braking. And then as I get kind of closer to that flag station, but not quite to it, I begin bending the car in. And in this particular lap that's here, I don't think I do a great job of, well, I think I get in too early is what I'm trying to say. But I begin a bend in here, and then as the second flag station comes into view about now, in real life, not in the video, I should tighten up the line. You can see I came in, I bent the car too much, too early. So now I'm actually in, a touch too early in this video. But the idea is to do a gentle bend in initially, and then a little bit more as we get closer to the apex, because we don't, on this line, we don't have to do a lot of bending, less than if we take a wider line. So again, something worth a try, that you may or may not find works for you. I don't have a lot to add to turn 7 that you haven't heard me say before. I like using the patch, if I can get this to play. This patch that's right there. I like using this corner of it, the leading corner of it, to put my left front tire on that, and then to be very judicious with coming off the brake pedal, and in other words, being slow, releasing the brake pedal, and relatively slow getting on the gas in order to prevent the car from understeering. And a lot depends on how well your car turns here. If your car turns well, then that's less important, but I think it helps in almost any car. So with that, I don't have a lot to add to my normal set of advice for the next few corners. So we'll play the video around. I do want to talk about turn 11, and a couple of ideas for turn 11. Turn in for the heel tends to be where the road gets wider. Long patience required type corner for the off camber, and then the upcoming fast left is a corner where too many people trail brake too long into it, but that's nothing new. So turn 11, much faster than kind of it looks, initially at least. And Dave Scott pointed out, as others have, how on this particular corner, vision is really critical. We want to get our eyes around to the bridge, starting really at about where my car is in the video here. And then as soon as we can, get our eyes up track. There are a series of orange triangles, and then eventually the start-finish bridge, or tower rather, that we can see. So here we want to do just a light amount of trail brake and then a little bit of gas, because we want to pick up a long early apex, and we're going to connect to this curb and hold it for some time, so that we can then squeeze the gas on progressively as we go around. And a suggestion from a different pro that I haven't tried yet is, just like in turn 1, we could potentially add a bit of steering at the apex here. And by the way, that definitely at turn 10, the previous left, high-speed left, definitely we can add a bit of steering at the apex, because there is a touch more favorable camber. So for sure, a little bit of extra steering input at the apex is a good thing in turn 10. At least one pro thinks it also works here in 11. So in any case, there you see turn 11. With that, again, this is a sort of a potpourri of ideas for you, some things you can take or leave. And I am interested to hear what your experience is if you try these. So send me an email, gilbert4@rcn.com, or just see me at the track. I'll be very interested in what you learn. So with that, I look forward to seeing you at the track. As always, drive safe and be smart. And I hope everyone has a great day.